Good morning. It is 6:44 a.m. on Monday, March 12th, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Uh, it's early. It is, daylight savings time early, but also stayed up late early. But what are you going to do? I stayed up late because Mike and I were getting caught up on podcasting in the sense that we recorded for bringing us to current for Survivor and then finishing up our Oscar marathon. So I'll be getting those shows posted soon. Over the weekend, also, I went to see Annihilation in the theater and have complicated feelings about it. Partly just because it's a tough, thematically meaty movie with some really intense imagery. Actually, last night I kind of dreamed about it. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a nightmare, but it wasn't, fun exactly either. Just some of the imagery in it is very mm, unusual and sort of, lasting, I guess. The movie, I think, takes, loosely the sort of setup from the plot of the book. But then, once they actually go into the area, it's a different plot, which is fine. I actually had a conversation during my vacation just about adaptations and the idea of like what you change in order to make, like if you have, let's say you have a good book, making the movie version just slavishly follow every beat from the book is not necessarily the way to make the best movie. So having it change that up, I think, is good. The ending, I'm still kind of chewing on in terms of what I think it means. I'm not going to spoil it here, other than to just say I've heard a couple of different explanations, and I'm not sure that the movie is intended to have like a defined, like, well, obviously the answer is X. I think it's intended to be, ambiguous and confusing, and that's kind of part of the meaning of the ending is to cope with not being able to understand it. But it's also like it definitely went in a direction I wasn't fully expecting, and I'm kind of still thinking about it. But yeah, I think that if you're interested in that kind of movie, I think it's a good one. I was glad that I went to see it. I had considered going to see that and the double feature with Wrinkle in Time, but I had a little bit of a headache after the first movie, and so I didn't feel like subjecting myself to a second one just to increase the headache. But there you go. I also finished watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood over the weekend, which is an anime series. If you're not familiar with the whole background, there was a manga originally, and then there was a previous anime series, which I had watched when it was on Adult Swim way back, 10 or more years ago now, I guess. And I guess what happened with that one was that it was being made at the same time that the manga was coming out, and so it had a few filler episodes, and then it also had a point where it ran out of source material and had to just do its own story to finish out. And then this new anime series, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, follows the completed manga. And I will say that like it certainly ends stronger, but in some ways I missed some of the extra supporting material because the first bits of this one felt like they were going just really fast. And in particular, there's the death of one character where it, in a lot of ways, drives a lot of the emotional stakes, or at least partly does as the story progresses, and it just happens so fast in this version that I feel like we didn't really have as much time to get to know that character and like him for his character's death to have that much weight. But that's how it happens sometimes. Hey, Luna. Um, but the overall story as it gets up to the finish tells this big, huge conflict with lots of moving pieces and a lot of interesting stuff going on. Oops, yawning. And so it's really good. I liked it. So there. So I've got to go ahead and finish getting ready for work. So I will talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.